do this for you guys. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Thunder. They call me Shooter. I'm here with Thomas Schooley, and we're live on episode 200. Thomas Schooley, how many times have you done anything 200 times?
Depends what it is. I've been to over 200 games.
There you go. That's good. It's a good start. Anyway, you haven't even been on the show 200 times, so I don't know why I'm giving you credit. I'm the only one. Actually, I don't even know if we count me being on the show 200.
Nope.
I haven't even been on the show 200 times. But anyway, tonight we'll do a little bit of a celebration. We've got some guests. Hopefully, Paul Porter's out there and is going to be joining us soon. We got a special guest, a blast from the past, that's going to join the show, and we'll talk a little bit about the last 200 episodes. Maybe we'll go into the origin story of how all this started too, but we'll wait till the end to do that. We've had an actual rough week of Lightning hockey. That hasn't happened too many times in these 200 episodes. It's happened a couple times, but not too many times we jump on here and we're talking about a 3-game losing streak. It was a tough road trip for the Lightning. So we've got to talk about that. We've got a weekly challenge. Nobody won the first weekly challenge. It was hard, and nobody won. So this week, guess what? We only have one game this week. So you know what I did? I made the weekly challenge all on that game tomorrow night.
We have 2 games, don't we?
Someday we'll find a co-host that actually follows the team here and not Steven Stamkos. There's one game because the Lightning have a bye week.
Oh, that's right.
So we play Philly tomorrow and then off until next Thursday, a full week until I believe the Jets come to town. And the Jets gave us a good spanking last week as well. So we'll see what they can do on our home ice this time. The Jets have only lost one game still. They won that last night too. Where do you want to start? We're going to wait for Paul, hopefully, to join us here shortly. Where do you want to start with this last week of Lightning hockey? Should we start from the first?
Yeah, I was going to say start with the win. I brought some snacks tonight that was left over from the Schooley decision desk, so I might be drowning my sorrows in the Little Debbie Christmas cakes if they ever want to sponsor us. I did buy 3 boxes yesterday. So
I'm proud of you. We're going to be dealing with this for the next 2 months. Everyone. Thomas Schooley's going to be eating his snacks. at least the election's over, so he can't talk about that. All right. So, yeah, we go to Colorado. Colorado had like 6 guys out of their top 12 forwards. So
the Lightning got them at the perfect time. You know, no Ross Colton, who had been really lighting it up this season. And then very depleted, very, very depleted lineup for them. And, you know, there's been times teams have faced us when we've had several on the injury list. And we looked really good and took advantage of their depleted team.
Yeah, we were supposed to lose that game, but started off quick with the Lightning scoring a couple goals to get the lead. I mean, they could have scored 4 or 5 goals in the first 10 minutes of that game. Colorado was just not ready for that. And this was the game. Cooch had 3 points in this game, but this is the game that Cooch had that beautiful pass to Gensel, kind of the no look from behind the net, right to Gensel, and Gensel just, don't miss the wide open net. So Gensel had 2 goals in that game, and that might be the assist of the year for Cooch, although it's still early in the season, so not ready to give that up to him quite yet.
Yeah, Michigan was like, I don't even know if Jake knew that was coming. He's like, but he just knows where he's supposed to be from playing with people like Crosby. And he's like, but I still don't think he even knew that was coming to him.
Yeah. He was in the right spot, though. I feel like they did practice.
As I say, it looked like something they had been working on.
I mean, he was there ready for it. And then the impressive part was just Cooch put it right on the stick. So that makes it real easy when it's not in between his legs or, it's on the right-hand side when he's a left-handed shot. So it was a good start for him. And there's Paul. He's not on here yet, but let me shoot him a message. Go ahead and talk about the rest of this game. Lightning take the big lead and then start to make a little bit worried by giving up a couple goals in the second period, right?
Right. I was checking real quick. There's no messages here. Last week we had an issue with messages. So somebody that's watching, because it is showing that we have several watchers, can someone just write hi in the chat so we can see if we can see your comments this week before Paul jumps on with us, because we want to hear your questions for Paul also. Colorado was great. We killed them, moved on. Was Winnipeg the second game? Oh, there we go. We can see comments this week. That's good. Winnipeg the second game?
No, it was Wild, Minnesota.
Oh, Minnesota, who had just recently beat us in our home. Then we go there. That ended up being a pretty competitive game that I thought we should have won, but didn't. People, we are seeing their comments now. We lost 3-5. A lot of people were complaining with that game. Sorry, we're both checking things out. Bolts only had 30 shots on goal. Minnesota had 22 and scored 5. That one was, which one was started by JJ?
That would have been the game against Winnipeg, which I thought was a rough decision, but they might have mapped all this out a long time ago before they knew.
Yeah, they said that was pre-planned for JoJo. That Stephanie already has a question here for Paul.
We're trying to get Paul on. He's having trouble connecting, so I'm gonna see if he can just call in.
Stash is out there. So,
but yeah, the Wild game, we really didn't lose it till the third period. I thought we had a good chance to win that game, and the Wild just kind of won it in that third period. And then the Jets game, the issue with these games that we lost is, most of them we took a lead and we couldn't hold that lead. We gave up that lead. We had a really good start against the Jets too, and it was looking good, 2-0 lead. Then they get one back, and we just could not hold that lead against the Jets. And I think the good news for the Lightning is a lot of these problems that you're seeing, a lot of these goals that are getting scored on them are just stupid mistakes. Like Perbix just passes to one of, I forget which game this was, but he just passes directly to their player, almost as if he thought it was a Lightning player, which I'm sure he probably did. But that's a boneheaded mistake that led directly to a goal. And I think this was the Jets game.
You had in the Jets game, you also had Nemesnikov score against us and then score for us.
Publix turns it over to their player, almost like he was on our team. Definitely made a mistake on that. And then Nemesnikov, of course, is right in front of the net to put that one in. And then not long after that, McDonough fumbles the puck and gives it to Winnipeg for a 2-on-1. And you just can't make mistakes against Winnipeg because they'll score on you. Winnipeg scoring like 6 goals a game. Yeah,
they definitely have the team. They remind me of us back when we had that core. They've had that core that's played forever, but have never really done anything in the playoffs. But they still have that core that's pretty much been there. And that's also the game that we had Gergensen get the 10-minute instigator penalty, which I think really blew everything off the game.
Well, so I actually wanted to talk about that penalty. So Gergensen takes that penalty because Glendening gets hit. And we've talked about this before in the past. Lightning players stick up for their team. Like that is one thing that everyone that wears that lightning bolt on their chest. If your guy gets a big hit, or somebody hits the Lightning player hard, somebody else on the Lightning jersey is going to come back and get revenge on that almost immediately. We see
Yeah,
that.
we had this in the offseason where people were saying that we got rid of Janot, we got rid of Sergachev. We don't really have that fighter anymore. And me and you had said that it seems like it's fighting by committee now. You have Geeky in there that's willing to fight. You have Gergeson. You have Icymont. Icymont will fight anybody at any time. He don't care. He reminds me. No, he reminds me of Yanni in that aspect. And so I think with this team, it's fighting by committee. You just stick up for any of the players, and we saw that in the game where McDonough got hurt and Chernak both got hurt.
The same sequence.
Yes,
they both just got crushed, and that was against the Wild. And one of those guys got suspended for a couple days for the Chernak hit.
Yes,
but I want to go back to the Winnipeg game because it's 3-3 in the third period. Towards the beginning of the period, Glendening gets hit. Jurgensen comes in and gets the penalty, right, for protecting his guy, and that they take the lead and don't look back. So, I mean, what do you do in a situation like that? Is that a bad move to protect your teammate and have his back like that? Or do you play it smart and not go?
Stephanie here, a clean hit is stupid. In the moment, you see it several times. There's always fighting after some of those clean hits that the player doesn't necessarily see the hit. They just see the final outcome. So you don't know if he thought maybe it was some kind of dirtiness or something. But in a game that close, you have to be careful. You can't just take a 10-minute instigator penalty.
Yeah, and that killed them. They scored right after that. In the third period, they didn't look back, and good teams are able to hold those leads, which the Lightning have not done on this road trip. And so far on the road this year, the Lightning are not looking too good on the road. So it'll be good to have them back for at least a few games. I guess it's a good time for them to get a break because in that Winnipeg game, Braden Point got injured. And we haven't seen him since. And we haven't really heard anything since. Thomas Cooley, they call you Scoops. I know they call you Scoops around Emily Arena. What do you
groin injury?
Groin?
Yep.
Are you going to suck the venom out?
Huh?
Can you go and suck the venom out?
No. That is what the Winnipeg beat writer was writing, that he was holding it and touching himself quite a bit, and that's what he would guess. The Lightning are saying it's a lower body injury, so you put the 2 and 2 together. He definitely wasn't limping or anything his last shift, so got to imagine that's pretty accurate of what it's going to be. The Lightning never disclose what the actual injury is. But I thought the biggest discussion on the internet, no matter what page, Lightning Strikes, Thunderbolts, Lightning Nation, there's all kinds of them. Pulling the goalie. Do we pull the goalie too soon? Do you think we pull the goalie too soon? Do the people watching think we pull the goalie too soon? It's been a huge heated debate in all the groups. And I want to know what you think. Cooper has always done this. This isn't anything new unless you just started following the team. This has always been Cooper's MO. You see other teams do it too. Cooper does it a little earlier than most teams do. What is your opinion on it?
I wish whenever he wants to pull the goalie, I wish he'd just wait an extra minute. Just give him a little more time, because it seems like a lot of times he'll pull the goalie and the other team scores within a minute. And and I don't know what that is, but yeah, it really doesn't matter. Like Stephanie's comment says here, lose by 1 or lose by 5, it's still a loss. It really doesn't matter. So I don't know why people get so mad about it. You might as well put those guys out there and try to score a goal, because they're actually really good at 6-on-5. And we've seen them score a lot of goals, and we've seen them score this season with the goalie pulled. So, I mean, it's not to tie it into the Bucks, not going for a 2-point conversion at the end of the Monday Night Football game to try to win the game instead of extend the game and let the best player who's in the NFL get the ball twice to beat them. No risk it, no biscuit. So I'm not mad at Cooper for doing that. I wish he'd wait a little bit longer. But who cares if we lose by an extra goal or 2 or 3, because you see him keep doing it. But why not? And then they said on one of the broadcasts this weekend, like same thing. Why not? Because you're giving these guys like actual game time experience of having a 6-on-5. So you're just kind of helping your own experience when you're doing that as well. So I'm not against it. I just wish he would give it an extra minute before he'd actually pulls that goalie. And
had they been successful, it would have been a totally different story. So, I would like to see a little bit more successful. Of course, the guys have to get it in the net.
They've scored at least 2 times this season.
Yes. But, it's definitely frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, I can see where fans get upset with that, because it kind of makes it so, oh, well, instead of having this last 4 minutes, the game's over now, right?
Here we go.
So it's a frustrating thing, I think, for the fans, but it is what it is. Like, Cooper's plan to win the game. He's not doing the Todd Bowles. Let's risk it. Let's try to get that extra goal. Let's try to get back into this game. And it looks like we see Paul here.
We sure do.
Paul, we're going to bring you on. Hopefully we can hear you. It looks like we got the extreme close-up. For anyone that doesn't know, Paul Porter is the PA announcer for the Tampa Bay Lightning and your Orlando Magic. So let's bring him on, We the Thunder, for the first time. Paul, can you hear us?
Yes, I do. I can hear you.
All right. We can hear you too. All right. It looks like you're frozen, but as long as we can hear you, we're good. Sorry about the technical. Yes, it's the voice, right? It's the voice that's got you where you are today. Hey, thanks for coming on We the Thunder. We're just a couple of fans.
No problem. I had some trouble getting by the streaming security guard, but I finally made it.
I'll tell you, we run a tight ship here. We don't want to get hacked, so we've got some major security firewalls and everything set up for this show. I don't know if you know this, Paul, but this is actually our 200th episode of this little show. So we really appreciate you coming on because this show is kind of a celebration, and you being here for the first time to join us is an honor. So thank you so much for jumping on. As I said, when we brought you on, the voice of the Lightning that we hear in the arena, the PA announcer announcing the goals, the players. When did you start doing this? You've been doing this since I started watching Lightning hockey. Oh, did we lose you again?
Oh, did you freeze up?
I think he's frozen. It looks like he's lagging. Let me see if we can just get him to call in, because then we don't have to worry about bandwidth or security. I didn't even know we had security around here.
Oh, look at this. Greg is saying he has an iPhone 4. Wolf.
The iPhone 4 is not compatible with the We the Thunder.
He's unfrozen down there.
Let's see. Are you still there, Paul? Maybe. All right, so we shot him the number. We'll see if he can get that. I'm going to shoot him the number to his email again, just to make sure we can get him on. Like we said, we just need the voice, right? We don't need the video, because that's what we know Paul from. We should be able to get.
So real quick, while Greg Wolf's on here, next Wednesday is the first live taping of the block party. I believe they're sold out, but if not, go on his stuff and see if there's any tables left. Of course, he's not going to tell you who the guest is. So go and check that out. And then we have a special guest next Wednesday night also.
Yeah, next Wednesday night, 9 p.m., we're going to have Andre Waugh join the team. 2004 Stanley Cup champ. And I think we've got Paul here. Paul, are you there?
I am here. Yeah.
All right. You really meant it when you like your voice out there, because we just got your voice, which is fine. And by the way, Greg Wolf was taking some shots at you. He says you have an iPhone 4, which is almost the original iPhone. Is that accurate?
He's close. No, Greg is not usually accurate. Greg doesn't worry about accuracy. So, but he's close. I've got a 7, not a 4.
He's got a 7, Greg. Come on. All right. Well, 7's good enough to get you on here. And again, thank you for jumping on. We've been listening to you for a very long time. I've never met you, but apparently Thomas Schooley, who does the show with me, he met you not too long ago, because he's the one who gave me your email.
I've met Paul. So when we do warm-ups, we stand next to the penalty box. And before COVID, of course, that's where Paul Porter sat every single game for 10 seasons. We stood right next to him outside the penalty box while he sat inside the penalty box. And every single game, we'd say, hey to Paul. And then if he wasn't there eating his snacks before his announcement, we knew there was an Orlando Magic home game, because, like we said, he does do both teams, but the Orlando Magic do take priority. So if they have a home game, he does those over the Lightning.
Well, that's close. I want to mention, you must be getting your information from Greg Wolf. He never lets accuracy stand in the way of a good story. So, let me just say that this year, for example, I have a total of 14 conflicts where the Lightning and the Magic are home on the same night. So I don't show preference to either team. I actually split them up and do 7 of the Magic and 7 of the Lightning. And I'm often asked, how do I determine which one I'm going to do? I try and do them based on the opponent. Whoever has the more attractive opponent, that's the game I'll do. If the Lightning are playing the New York Rangers and the Magic are playing Sacramento, then I'll do the Lightning game. Or if the Magic are playing the Lakers and the Lightning are playing Minnesota, I'll do the Magic game.
So you get to just choose the best matchup, the most entertaining option for you, the best names to call. Okay, that makes
pretty much
sense.
Yeah,
I would do the same thing.
When it's going to be a big game for either team and there's a conflict, I try and choose who has the bigger game that night.
And what about the playoffs? Because we did see the Magic make the playoffs last year.
Same thing. That happened actually last year, where there were 2 conflicts, where both the Lightning and the Magic were home on the same night for a playoff game, and I ended up doing one of each.
There you go. So how'd you get started with this? And I'm curious, how'd you start, and what did you do before you got these 2 gigs?
Well, I actually got my start with the NBA's Cleveland Cavaliers, and I did the public address announcing the first year, and then I did the radio play-by-play for my second and third years. And new ownership came in after my third year and totally cleaned house, even fired the team doctor and the organist. And I was among the casualties. And Bill Musselman, you may remember him, former NBA coach, is no longer with us, but his son Eric is the head coach at Arkansas. But Bill Musselman offered me a job in Sarasota with a Continental Basketball Association, and I came down to Sarasota and did that for a year, and then moved up to Tampa Bay with the old Tampa Bay Thrillers that played at the Bayfront Center and then later at the University of Tampa. And then Pat Williams, who I had known from my days in Cleveland, ended up getting the Magic job and getting the Magic franchise, I should say. And he invited me to try out for the public address announcer job, and I did, and ended up being their PA announcer. And 36 years later, still here doing it.
That's amazing. So,
as far as the Lightning goes, I started with the Lightning because they had heard me doing Magic games, and they asked if I had any hockey experience. And I said, yeah, I know the game pretty well, and I feel like I could do it. So they ended up hiring me as their announcer 4 years after I got the Magic job.
Now, were you nervous about that transition? You said you liked hockey, but when you're talking hockey names versus basketball names, and I know the basketball game names have probably got a little bit more complicated as you got way more Europeans and a lot of, it's more of an international game now, but hockey's always been an international game. And, there's names on this podcast, usually of the other team players that we don't even try to announce. Did that make you nervous when you're coming over to hockey?
Well, the league puts out a pronunciation guide where they give you virtually every player in the league in addition to the hopefuls. So basically when training camp starts for all of the NHL teams, they put out a pronunciation guide for each player. So part of my job before the game starts is to go through the visiting team and get every pronunciation and get it phonetically and get it exactly as possible. So try and do that. There was a time when Vinny LeCavalier, I think he changed how he pronounced his name 3 different times. So he changed from LeCavalier to LeCavalier to LeCavalier, and it went back and forth. And of course, you remember from the 2004 Stanley Cup, Nikolai Habibulin, I went up and asked him, I said, I've heard both Habibulin and Habibulin. Which do you prefer? And he said, either one, that's fine.
Yeah.
And he said, if you want to say it Russian, it's Habibulin. If you want to say it American, it's Habibulin. So that's up to you. So I said, okay. So I think I did both.
How kind to have the option.
Yeah. So now, Paul, how many times both Orlando and here, because your enunciation on some of the players' names are iconic. You remind me a lot of Ray Clay from the Chicago Bulls. I was absolutely a huge fan of his growing up. And then here is Paul Porter when I go to the Lightning games. But like some of your iconic names, how many times do you have fans come up to you and try to emulate you? Because I know I'm in the fans when you're introducing the starting lineup, when you're announcing the goal scores, the assist. I'm in the stands doing a Steven Stamkos, and same thing as you, but not as good as you. Do you get that a lot from fans?
I really do. And to be honest with you, they always say that the imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So I am very happy when I do that. I've heard school kids in Orlando, 8 years old, playing basketball out on the concrete, and I'll hear a Shaquille O'Neal, from the days with the Magic, and that just makes me happy because I know that people are liking it and they're imitating it and they're having fun when they're doing it. And that's my whole idea, is for the fans that are there, that have worked hard all day, trying to figure out how to pay the mortgage or the rent, and still have to go to work in the morning and all of that, to at least come out and have fun for a couple of hours. And calling out the name adds to that fun, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, I guess that's true, because I remember always trying to do Ray Clay from North Carolina when we were out on the basketball court as a kid, pretending I was Michael Jordan. Of course, I never could play like him, but I pretend I was, and I pretend I was being announced. So yeah, I guess seeing the kids do that would be pretty cool, that they're emulating your name. And you have had some of the biggest stars that you've announced in both sports, whether it was they played for the Magic, Shaquille O'Neal, Penny Hardaway, Grant, all those, or you go to the Lightning and Stamkos, Hedman, LeCavier, St. Louis, Hobby Bullen. Do you get to actually meet these players? Or like, I know when we interview Sonia, she's got to meet, like this year, she's only knows the old one. She has not met any of the new ones yet. Have you got to meet the new guys? Do you talk with them?
Not as much as I did similar to Sonia. Ever since COVID, the contact with players has kind of diminished. Steven Stamkos, Ben Bishop, and Vinny LeCavalier, and Marty St. Louis are four that I was very close to and still am. So you don't get to see them as much. And as they come in anymore, they are already in game mode, these players, and they don't want to say, hello, how are you? How's your day been? How are you doing? They're focused on getting to the locker room and getting ready. So it's almost like they have tunnel vision walking from the parking lot into the actual locker room.
What's it like now being up there in the 200s with Jeff Franzone, Greg Wolf? What's it like being up there now rather than being in the penalty box area?
Well, you can see the game better from up there than you can in the penalty box because, as you probably know, Thomas, right down there on the glass, when play goes into the corner the same side as you, it's hard to see exactly. So you can see the plays forming a lot better. So the vision is better. But what ends up happening is it takes longer to get the information, particularly when a goal is scored, because the referee will come over to the off-ice officials down where I used to be, tell them who scored the goal, and then the off-ice officials have to check with the rest of the off-ice officials up on the 7th floor to see who got the assist. And then after they determine that, the information is sent down to me, and then I get to announce the goal, unless there's a commercial running, which has been one of my gripes for many, many years. I'll be ready to announce a goal, and they'll say, oh, hang on, we got to do the Chick-fil-A, or hang on, we got to do this. So there have been times when it's 5, 6, 7 minutes after a goal was scored before it's announced, or sometimes it just happened last week. The goal was scored in the final minute of the first period for the Lightning, and I didn't get to announce it until the second period because we had the intermission coming up, and they didn't want to announce it during the intermission. So that's kind of a frustrating part of the job because it didn't used to be that way. Anything game-related always took precedence, but the marketing gurus that are selling everything they can as the official so-and-so of the Lightning, they've got all of their slots filled, and our producer, John Franzone and Stephen Fry, they do everything they can just to try and get all the commercial announcements in that they have to. And unfortunately, the information for the game takes the second total.
Yeah, I was at that game. I think me and Shooter were both at that game. And as soon as the second period started, all of a sudden you're like, and the Lightning goal. And I was like, when did we score? Oh, yeah, it was in the last minute of the first period. That's right. So,
Yeah.
I do that too. So
I actually saw somebody came running in from the concourse thinking that they missed the goal. But it was actually from the previous period. And they said, oh, okay, well, I remember that 20 minutes ago. Yeah.
So when did they move you upstairs? Was that did you have
COVID.
a say in that? Oh, so it was
No,
COVID.
it's actually a league-wide decision. None of the public address announcers are on the penalty box anymore. They tried to eliminate the number of people that are down there and having physical contact with the players. They did that with COVID, and then they liked how it looked and ended up just staying with that.
And you guys weren't complaining about it too much because you can see the game a lot better from up there.
Yeah, but I'm sure he had some great stories of those people on penalty boxes back and forth and everything else.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You got to hear some real colorful language down there. And sometimes you're right in the middle of it because the player's trying to get at the other player, and the only thing separating them is the off-ice officials and the scoreboard operator and me. So there have been times when you thought that you're going to be in the middle of a brawl between especially if you get 2 players from each side or 3 players from each side in the penalty box.
Did you ever get a glove thrown at you by accident or friendly fire or anything like that?
No, I've been pretty fortunate. I think the biggest close call that I had was a shot came over the glass, and I wear a headset mic to be in communication with the producers, and the puck came over the glass, and of course it's coming at 100 miles an hour or so, and it's black and you can't see it, and it hit my microphone on my face mask and totally shattered it. And thank goodness for that. Otherwise, it would have hit me right in the mouth, and that might have been the end of my career. But that microphone really saved me.
Wow.
Now, you also have on Saturday mornings, you have a radio show called The Home Team with Paul Porter from 9 to 11. I want to make sure that the station's right. What station is it on?
It's on WTAN 1340 AM and 106.1 FM. You can also access it by going to the tantalkradionetwork.com, or you can see the video of it and hear the audio and comment as well on Facebook Live, The Home Team with Paul Porter. So there's the 3 different ways that you can listen to the program. It's nice because people can tune in like your podcast anywhere in the world and hear it. So it's been going now. I've been there for just over a year, and the show's doing very well, and I enjoy it. 2 hours is plenty for me, 2 hours a week. And what we try and do that's a little bit different than what you hear on your typical sports station. We try and have conversations with the listeners. So when people call in, or even when they type in their comments on Facebook Live, we try and interact with them and have a conversation, as opposed to just saying, well, Thomas in Lakeland says, and Bill in Ocala says, and John in Fort Myers says, and St. Petersburg's Al says. We like to actually hear their voice, make their comments, instead of just reading their text.
You know, and I found that because we had talked about some of the people we wish we could have on the show and stuff like that. And you're always been a fan favorite, and I've gotten to talk to you so many times. And so I was like trying to Google you, and all of a sudden I saw it, and I set my alarm for Saturday morning to make sure I got up and listened to it. And I actually comment sometimes on that. And I was like, oh, it's a whole, you know, when he says it's interactive, it is. They talk to you, they read your comments, they answer your questions. And it's a great little show. They also have a Facebook page. You can look at it. It's The Home Team with Paul Porter. If you go on Facebook and look it up.
Old
Yes.
school radio, no pun intended.
But is it though? You're streaming on Facebook. Old
Yeah.
school.
It's old school in the way we conduct the program. But we have learned that so many people now don't listen to the radio anymore. They watch on Facebook or they watch on the internet or on their computers or their phones. So we've adjusted with that, and it used to just be radio, strictly radio. And about 4 or 5 years ago, we started putting the show on Facebook Live and have done very well with it.
Yeah, and I like that concept, and that's kind of what we try to do here is get everyone involved. I hope the people that are listening, whether they're listening now or watching us now, feel like they are part of the show, because we do often put their comments up and open the phone lines and whatnot, and that's why we're called We the Thunder. We've all heard Be the Thunder. We obviously took a page out of that book and named the show We the Thunder. And don't worry, everyone, we're going to give you the full origin story of this show in about 10 minutes here after we let Paul go. But I've got a question from the chat, actually, which I'm kind of interested.
I do want to say, hey, Paul, one of the people here that's listening and watching us, she said she won a contest on your show and she had the opportunity to have dinner with you. It was one of the coolest things she's ever had. And that's Stephanie.
Absolutely. I remember that. We had people write in what they would ask me if they could have dinner. And she actually won the contest. We got a lot of different responses and a lot of different questions. But, that was a fun night. And she got to know me a little bit better. And I got to talk with her about how she became a Lightning fan. And it was a very enjoyable time.
That's awesome. And by the way, Stephanie, you probably picked this up in your dinner, but she's not just a huge, massive Lightning fan. She's like a Tampa Bay sports, Florida sports super fan. She knows all the sports. So she's a good one to have a dinner with, talking Tampa Bay and Florida sports.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. I've got a question for you, and I do have a question in the chat here. This is based off, we've been known to put out some of our own little animations, and they're asking if you would ever voice one. Well, maybe someday we'll ask you to do that. But have you ever done voiceovers or any other type of like animation work? I'm guessing yes, based on that voice.
Oh, absolutely. I've done everything from weddings to wedding receptions to bar mitzvahs to, of course, NBA 2K, which is now doing NBA 2K25 video game that I have gone to Los Angeles and to Dallas to do some recording for. So I do an awful lot of recording and a lot of introducing the bridal party and the wedding party at weddings. And there's a lot of people that like to have their party introduced, and we'll do something at let's meet the maid of honor. She ended up meeting the bride at her college days where they both studied communications together from Clemson University. Please welcome Cindy Hallivan. And she'll come running out, and then they'll say, now let's meet the best man. And we go through all the classifications as to how he met the groom and all of that. And then he'll come running out. So it's become very popular. In fact, I think you can actually go to YouTube and you'll see if you put my name in with wedding receptions, there's a couple of them that are on YouTube.
That's brilliant. I'll spare you any of my cooch jokes for the wedding ceremony, but that's really cool. How long did 2K have you record? Was this because I've heard like some of the announcers that they have on like Madden, it's just like they just got to talk for like a week straight into this microphone.
No, it's depending on the first year. I was actually out in Los Angeles for about 4 days doing like a 4-hour session each of the 4 days. And then as they got a number of them recorded, there was less to do. The next year, I think it cut down to 2 days. And the last time I was out, it was just actually going in the night before and doing it in one day. So it's basically just updating and that sort of thing. But that first year, you had to record everything, including all the potential scores. So you would say 98, 97, 97, 96, 96, 95. And you would just go on like that. And even when you tried to trip up the producer to see if he was listening, he'd catch it right away and say, nope, that's not right. You said it wrong. So you'd have to go back and do it again.
That's funny. Is there anything that you've been in that like maybe we don't know about? Like, you know, I'm the Toyota voice guy or something like that. Is there anything like that?
Yeah, I've actually done a lot of commercials, both local and national. I was the voice of Kelly Sutherland tires for many, many years, and have done a lot of things. I recorded a commercial for Geico that played in Orlando. So I've had my voice in a number of different areas.
Before we let you go, what is your favorite memory as a Lightning announcer?
Well, it would have to be the 2004 Stanley Cup Final Game 7. And I had been, since up to 2004, I'd been doing this for about 24 years. And my dream was to always be with a championship team, whether it was basketball or hockey or football or whatever. And the Lightning, of course, you probably remember, it forced a Game 7 back in Tampa by winning at Calgary. And then they came back home, and Ruslan Fedotenko scored in both the first and second periods, and the Lightning were up 2-0. And then Calgary got a goal midway through that third period, and it was like the longest 10 minutes of my life after that. Every time somebody would shoot, I couldn't look because I was afraid it would tie it up, and then I would hear the crowd cheer, and I realized, okay, we live a little bit longer. Let's keep this going. So that was probably the most exciting part. And of course, you probably remember Dave Andreychuk took a penalty in the final 2 minutes of that Game 7, and he had said that it was like the longest 2 minutes of his life. Because he was thinking he's got a chance as the captain to win a Stanley Cup, and he takes a penalty, and the opposing team, trailing by 1, is on a power play for the last couple of minutes of the game. But he made it through, and he was, I think, as nervous as I was, or maybe even more so, knowing that he had taken that penalty.
Apparently, all the Lightning royalty are coming in the show. Listen to you. Sonia just commented that she loves Mr. Porter. He is so amazing because of his vernacular. I am looking into doing some voiceover work. So you brought out all the Lightning royalty tonight to come and hear you.
Yeah, you're making us look good.
Well, I'm glad to do that, and it's nice to talk with Lightning fans and appreciate your support with the podcast and the support of the Lightning. And Lightning fans are great fans, and hockey has a permanent home here in Tampa Bay, that's for sure.
It sure does. All right. Well, hey, we will let you go. I'd love to have you on later this season to talk a little bit more about actual hockey. And we got some more questions for you. It was funny. Thomas actually had the same question that I had for you to wrap it up. But that is cool to hear. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Like I said, I'll contact you maybe after the new year, see if I can drag you on here again for a little bit longer. In the meantime, people can check you out on the Home Team Show with Paul Porter. And again, that is Saturdays at 9 a.m., correct?
That is correct. 9 to 11 each and every Saturday.
All right. Well, we
want to mention I'm not going to be on the air this Saturday. My two co-hosts will, Jason Alessi and Dave Papa, will be filling in for me. But I am there most Saturdays from 9 to 11. So if you don't catch the show this Saturday, be sure and tune in a week from Saturday.
There you go. And we'll hear you hopefully announcing several goals tomorrow night, correct?
Hope so. It was a rough road trip, winning only one game. So they need that game tomorrow night, that's for sure, because then they have a week off. So
Correct.
they really need to get a couple of points and get back in the winning column before they hit that bye week until the following Thursday.
Got to get that win tomorrow.
Tomorrow is Military Appreciation Night.
Absolutely. And the Lightning are very friendly to the military, that's for sure. They are always recognizing them.
Always a fun night. All right. Again, thank you so much, Paul. We're looking forward to being in the building tomorrow night and hearing your voice again. And we'll talk to you hopefully sometime soon again. Paul Porter, thank you for joining us.
All right. My pleasure, guys.
All right. Take care. All right. So we've got another guest in the green room. Before we bring him on, everyone go ahead and hit the like button or the share button, or if you're feeling a little frisky, do both. Maybe send your mom or dad a DM, or maybe you don't have a mother and a father anymore. Send your kids, maybe your cousin. Tell them they just missed Paul Porter.
Maybe your kids are your cousin.
Florida, and New Alabama. But
also, it's almost the end of the year. You guys go check us out on Spotify and put us as one of your podcasts. And then when they do that wrapped at the end of the year, if we show up as your number one podcast,
you get to have dinner with Thomas Schooley.
Shooter's gonna give you a little sexy dance, one-on-one.
Yeah. All right. Let's do a couple announcements. Then I'll bring on the special guest. In case you didn't hear it, next week we've got another awesome guest. His name is Andre Waugh. He was there for Paul Porter's favorite moment as a Lightning announcer because he was on that 2004 team and is a Stanley Cup champ. And by the way, if you don't know who Andre is, he's probably one of the funniest guys who's ever played for the Lightning.
Bring a beer.
He had, I'm probably going to have one with him next week. Hopefully he has one with him. I'll suggest he does. He did a little segment back then on Sun Sports called Rappin' with Waugh. So we're going to ask him about that, where he was just being a silly guy. But you should go follow him now, and he'll be on the show next Wednesday, 1 week from today at 9:00. So we'll be a little bit late. That is the request of our guest. So don't miss that one. And then we also got another guest that is coming on, not till December, the first week of December. We're going to have Andrew Weiss on. You know him from the X, from the Twitter. He is the meme master, makes the meme videos after every game. And I think most Lightning fans that are on Twitter follow Andrew. So we'll have him on the show, and more exciting announcements maybe throughout the season. But maybe none more exciting for some people than our next guest. He's kind of like the Donald Trump of podcasting. If we bring him on, 50% of you are not going to like him. Probably will, but according to the origins of this show, we can't have a 200th episode without. Hold on, let me get the sound effects ready. The mustache man, the stash is back. Stash, do you still watch Tampa Bay Lightning hockey?
I mean, if you haven't heard me in the first few broadcasts of home games, then you haven't been listening hard enough, because absolutely do I watch Lightning games, but mostly I've been attending most of the home games so far. So yeah, I mean, this wall's still the sacred shrine, and hey, El Capitan, he's still up there. All right. He's still up there.
Any chance of you being the next PA announcer for the Lightning someday?
Listen, 7 opportunities a season. I just found a way in. All I need is a crack. All right.
Yeah.
All I need is a crack to
Actually,
weasel my way in.
Who back?
Dash is the one doing the scheduling where they conflict. He's like, this one.
Anyway in.
Yeah. By the way, I saw Scott's comment here. Yeah, Instagram chats never come through for us. So if you're watching on Instagram, you got to come over to the dark side of Facebook. Same company,
Or YouTube.
YouTube. I think we're on Twitch still somewhere. A black hole of on Twitch.
Sonya says, hi, Stash.
I see. Hi, Sonya.
So, Stash, what do you think about this season so far? The Lightning are 7-6 now after this awful road trip.
I mean, I was listening earlier. I was actually playing producer director here at home as my wife and son are starting their own cooking video journey, and I'm doing that. But no, yeah, I mean, what can we say about this road trip other than what else is new? I feel like the last couple seasons, the Lightning just aren't good on the road. We know they come home and play good hockey, and they don't win all the time, but they win most of their home games. We know what to expect, but they go on the road and it's inconsistent. And one game it's this, and one game it's that. And I mean, I heard you guys mention the pulling the goalies early or pulling Bassey early. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that all the time. Sometimes I get being aggressive situationally, but sometimes
it took
when you
200 episodes for
Yeah.
you finally not to have an opinion on how you feel on that.
Well,
we
listen.
are having a celebration.
No, listen. I mean, the thing is that it's situational, and I've always said that Coop is an aggressive coach, and he's always been this way. It's just more obvious, I think, this season because it's happened a little bit more frequently. You know what I mean? Like within, it's not spread out as much as happens. Yeah. It's more concentrated.
Right.
So that's part of it. And then also, I mean, I feel like the team started out pretty good, and we saw some positive things from this team, and then on this road trip, we've seen regression, and then that is added to the frustration we're seeing from the way they're playing overall, right? So it's like, oh man, they're already not playing great, and now you're gonna take away this, extra minute and a half, because that's really the thing, though, too. Like if we're getting mad about it, you're getting mad at about maybe 90 seconds of hockey, because he's maybe pulling the goalie about 90 seconds early, really, at 3 minutes, traditionally, right? And even over the years, recently, we've seen every other coach in the league is getting more aggressive with that, and it's closer to 2 minutes. It used to be like the last 60 seconds we pull the goalie if we get a chance. When I was a kid, you know what I mean? Now, it's not unusual for other coaches in the league to pull them at 3 minutes if you're down by 1 or 2 goals. You know what I mean? So I think it's just the problem that, like we said, is so concentrated, and then it's so early in the season, and we saw some good things, and now this road trip has just been so bad. It's easy to be like, whoa, what are you doing? This is crazy.
And we
Kind
can
of like
win against
Todd Bowles in the defense. Like, what are you doing? You can't cover that guy over the middle. You can't cover the guy in the backfield. Sorry, different show.
We can never beat Minnesota, and Winnipeg's always tough. That road trip there is always a bad road trip for us. The Blues. I mean, the time I went to St. Louis, I went with Scott. He had went the night before to Minnesota, and they lost Minnesota, and then or maybe they won Minnesota. No, they lost because they haven't won there. And
they beat Minnesota in Minnesota last season.
Yeah, last season.
Finally,
and
for the first time
we went to the Blues, and we lost in the last minute in St. Louis. So when I went there, so yeah, that's a tough road trip always for them. Usually you have Vegas in there, but now you have Utah and Vegas. Now is going to be bunched together.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right. Well, I mean, Winnipeg is the best team in the league. So I mean, it's just to play that way when we were playing so well, and then Minnesota. We all know that's just the bugaboo of this franchise, basically the entire time that they've been in the league. So it's just like I said, it's when you're playing so well, and then suddenly you go on a road trip and hit a skid like that. Paul said it best. They definitely need to come home tomorrow night, military appreciation night, and get a win before they go on a long break.
Yeah. And part of the problem, and a big part of the problem, is I think Point is a bigger piece of this team than we think. Losing that piece right up the middle, especially a player like Braden Point, who's, one of the top 3 fastest guys in the NHL, you can't replace that. You can't just move up Anthony Cirelli to that first line and expect this team to
We
be
saw
able
that in the playoffs a couple
to
years
score
ago.
goals a game. Yeah, right, against Colorado when we couldn't do much and we couldn't score as many goals against Colorado with Point out that series, and ended up maybe costing us the three-peat. Well, I don't know. I think Colorado was kind of the team of destiny that year, and we just, maybe had a chance without Pointer. But we'll see how long this lingers. These injuries, and like Thomas said earlier, we think it's a groin injury.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lingering injury. You rush back to try to play. Maybe I'm assuming he doesn't play tomorrow. Maybe they rush him back next Thursday against the big game with the Jets coming to town. Well, if he makes that injury worse, he's going to be out another month. So
like Mike Evans,
it's like a hamstring, right? So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Braden Point and how safe they play it. I'm hoping they're just going to play it as safe as possible. Let's wait, make sure it's healed. We still have a long season ahead of us, but if we continue, that's why maybe the bye's good now. I thought this is a very early bye. We must be the first team with a bye. I'd rather have it more towards the middle of the season, but with Point going down like this, maybe it is good that we have it now, because if we lose 5 in a row, they're going to definitely rush him back.
Well, you got to remember there's going to be a couple breaks because you have that bye week, and then we're also going to have that 4-country break also. Four nations break in there. So you're going to get that also coming in. So it's going to be come at a good time, as in we only have 1 player injured. But are you surprised at what this team, where they're at right now? Is this where you thought they would be at this time right now? Are they doing better than what you thought? And something about Winnipeg, we don't get to see them often, twice a year. That's it. You saw when Hellebuck won the Venza, people were like, oh, he didn't deserve it. You got to see why he deserves it. I mean, he has played Vasi-like, but better than Vasi. I mean, they will say Vasi plays Hellebuck way. So, this is why he was the Venza winner last year, and he definitely deserved it. I said from the beginning that he was going to get that, and he's on pace to win it again this year.
Yeah, I mean, I watch a lot of hockey outside of the Lightning. You watched the show before, and you know that about me. I'm a hockey fan first, so I've always known how great he is, and honestly, how great this Winnipeg team is. And they kind of underperformed last year in the playoffs, and I was kind of shocked by that. But I think that this is their year to come out of the West and really dominate and be that team. As far as the Lightning, are you asking me if they are who I thought they were?
Do you think they're performing where you thought they were going to right now, or better or worse? And same with you, Shooter. Do you think, we did our predictions a couple weeks ago, but do you think they're right where you thought they were going to be, or do you think they're better or worse? To me, I think they got off to they came out where they hadn't lost a game, but I really thought at this point it would be a little bit more losses for them, honestly.
I mean, I gotta say, I was probably expecting 500 hockey to start the season, like the first month, you know what I mean? And we're just about there, right? So if they can, pull off this win tomorrow, they'll be right above that line. And I think that we've seen the top line be absolutely fantastic. I think any questions about Jake Gensel coming into this team, they should be answered by now. That guy clearly is worth his money. He's going to continue to find his space on the ice with the talent that he plays with and just become more dynamic and more impactful. The problem is still the depth of this team, not only in the forwards, but in the blue line. And that's the thing that can experience fix that a little bit throughout the season of them playing together and some of these young kids and some of these new guys. And can Cooper find some way to get them to mesh? But so far, I mean, I'm taking 500 hockey coming out of the first month of the season. I'm good.
I think I thought they'd be a little bit better. To be sitting right at 500 right now, I thought they would be better. And it just goes back to these 2 road trips that they've had. They just haven't been winning enough games. You got to win. You got to go at least 500 on this 4-game road trip. You got to, at least get an extra point on that one earlier in the season, which wasn't horrible. But, they want to come back winning at least, half the points that you can on these road trips. So they got to fix that. They got to figure out how to play better on the road. We know we're going to get the wins at home, but can they get the wins on the road? I think the depth's better this year than it has been in the past. We've seen Radish getting scratched, which I think is going to change tomorrow because, Perbix, awesome goal. That's an awesome, Perbix took over for point for a second there with that goal last night. But other than that, him and Lilleberg had an awful game. Probably their worst game of the season, and they are obviously a liability when they're on the ice.
Together.
Team Lilleberg, he's taken a little bit of a step back, which we've seen happen with Perbix last year. But Perbix has had a rough road trip these last couple games, and Perbix even getting that goal was a -2 last night.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see Radish back in the lineup tomorrow, and I don't know if they sit Perbix or Lilleberg, but I think one of them's got to sit for a little bit and just watch what's going on here, because Lilleberg, he's looked lost the last couple games.
So we got your feelings on Jake. Who else? These new people do you like? Are you impressed with any of the other new guys?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd have blinders on if I said that I was impressed with Geeky and what he's done and the way he's impacted this team. And I think that's what I was kind of talking about more, not necessarily that they don't have the depth. It's more about molding that depth to play as a team still and figuring out that rotation and figuring out that style that each line kind of has and when and where to apply them, because that's the thing about Coop. We all know he plays chess when he's doing this, and he just needs to know the pieces he has on the board and able to go and be the master strategist that he is. And so he's still kind of learning where these new pieces can go. And yeah, that kid is definitely just a dynamic kid who I think is making the right plays and being in the right place, but he's also still playing a little bit timid and playing young hockey because he doesn't want to make too many mistakes. And I kind of like to see that, because that means he's heady. He's not just out there playing with emotions. He's not out there trying to overdo something to prove himself. He must obviously have the vote of confidence from the coaches to be like, hey, go play your style. You don't have to worry about getting benched. You don't have to, worry about one mistake costing you your spot on the roster. You're here.
Well, I heard Michigan talk about how he feels that confidence actually comes from his brother, from being around his brother so much, and his brother having several seasons in the NHL now, because he came into training camp with that kind of attitude. And I would say the two that have impressed me that are new this year is Geeky and Moser.
That trade is a win. 100%. Yeah. That trade is a win.
And we talked about it, and we talked how really the Sergachev one was 3 players. That gave you the money for Jake. It gave you the trade for Geeky and for Moser. So as much as Sergachev was a fan favorite, was a great guy, and he had his up and downs. There was times where he was the one to blame. Close your ears, shooter. There was times when he was just looking really bad out there. So to get someone like Geeky and Moser, and then also having that money for Jake, it is definitely a nice little thing. And
great move. A great move.
And Sergachev's doing great in Utah.
Hey, and listen, I'm not going to throw any stones or anything like that, but I did see you next to, in a picture, a very famous picture during Stamkos's return. I've been waiting to ask you about this. All over viral.
The GM sucks one?
I mean, what's your opinion of JBB? Because I've been trying to catch up, but you guys, honestly, I'm not always get your post.
There's a reason.
Where,
There's a
where
reason.
do you feel?
There's a reason JBB was not announced on opening night. There's a reason why he did not come out on the season ticket holder fan fest. There has been a reason why there has been nothing of JBB anywhere in a public setting. And I just think the feeling, no, I think the feeling of him is not a good one. It would
take about a move that was maybe the best move in the offseason, and he signed the hottest free agent in the offseason. And just because Stamkos decided that wasn't enough money to stay, now JBB is a villain?
No, that's what you have been told. You know, it wasn't. There was not a real offer. There was no intentions of bringing him back. The intentions of bringing Stamkos back was done when he didn't remove his no trade clause 2 years ago. He was not wanted. He did not need to go for Jake. We talk about this missing on the side there where we're not scoring. He could have been that second or third line guy. We still had enough money that we could have, if we wanted to keep him. That was.
I was crunching the numbers. I don't know. I mean, you know, you're
not only that, it was
behind the scenes insider knowledge from
it
whatever.
It was a joke shirt that Bring Hockey.
No.
Hockey Back does a GM sucks.
No. I was just asking you. I wasn't trying. Like I said, nothing. I was just bringing it up because I haven't really heard your personal take about JBB and how you feel about him. That's what I was saying. I was just saying next to that.
I don't feel it was handled right. You know,
how is this supposed to be handled?
Probably be honest with the player. Not think he's coming back until the night before, and also come out and say that we're trying to sign him and you're not trying to sign him.
Well, again, I mean, you can sit there and have whatever your sources are, but like, there's only one person that's come out and said this, and the other person that said it. That's it. Like, there's only been Stamkos' agent, and I heard verified offer from Stamkos' agent that they did get an offer. So that's
there
was no offer, but there was an offer.
But he knew he wasn't going to accept it.
Well, that's bullshit. Then that's bullshit because that's Stamkos wanting more money than what it was offered. Yes, that's what that is. That's Stamkos.
Well, he was wanting what he felt he was worth. I mean,
he feels like he's worth in Nashville. Does Nashville feel like? Ask Nashville fan if they feel like he's worth $8 fucking million.
He was willing to take less money than Nashville. He didn't even want that length of a contract.
Dude, I see. And that how? So you went and had dinner with him, and he told you?
No, I don't need to. You could hear his.
How do you know?
If you shut up for a second, like usual.
Here we go.
If you heard his goodbye, he said goodbye to everybody. If you listen to his message, he sat there and said,
"You're right. I live on
up
a rock."
Until the last minute. Yeah. There you go. Never mind.
You're sitting here accusing me
don't
of
ask the question if you can't shut up long enough to hear an answer.
You just accuse me of if you listen. Of course I fucking listened to it, Thomas. You think I'm not a fan? He's still on my damn wall, dude. I didn't give up on the guy. He gave up on us. Don't sit here and
No, he did not. You're out of your mind.
I'm out of my mind. $8 million a year in Nashville. They're out of their mind. That's who's out of their mind.
Yes, they did overpay him.
That's insane.
Yes.
$5 million a year. Listen, all I gotta say, dude, is that Stamkos talked a big game, just like the other guy that is no longer on the feature wall, Alex Killorn, my favorite, who decided to take the money instead of stay and be a legacy player for his $3.5 million a year as well. So I don't care. I don't judge them. I'm not mad at them. They went and did what they want. But don't sit here and blame JBB for making a fucking business decision that he had to make to move this team forward. Period.
What?
I'll keep
Victor Hedman
10 times over Steven Stamkos. I'll keep Victor Hedman 10 times over Steven Stamkos.
Okay.
What do you say about that?
We'll talk. Well, not like you would let me finish saying what I was going to say. So
go ahead and get heard, Thomas. Like always. Go ahead.
Oh, trust me, I'm not hurt at all.
Okay.
At all.
What if I want to say something?
You never can either.
Listen,
yeah, you're right. You're right.
I don't know whose side I'm on here, but I do feel like people in Tampa do think that these players are going to take less to come here, and it's just not the case. We've seen it over and over again where they get an offer to come play in Tampa that's less than what they're going to get elsewhere, and they always leave. And I don't blame them one bit. They should go get all the money you can. You can only play the sport till your late 30s. So
I'm not mad at Stamkos. Again, I'm just calling a spade a spade. The guy went and chased the money instead of just staying and checking his ego at the door and saying, hey, I'm going to follow through and say, I'm going to be the captain and retire here as a Bolt. Like I said, $100 million that man just made in career earnings.
Tell me
$100 million.
Tell me what the business decision was.
The business decision was not to overpay an aging guy who is a liability on 5-on-5 and only gives you power play goals.
But you signed.
He could barely keep up on the second line.
But you signed Hedman for the same amount that you did 8 years ago. A year early, when you just said you can't do that to Stamkos because it's unprecedented. And you only say, check it. Go ahead and check it, JBB. JBB and that said the reason he didn't offer Stamkos a contract last year was because it was unprecedented. It had only been done 3 times. And that Hedman was becoming the 4th one.
Listen, I don't think Hedman gets $8 million. I think Hedman was the beneficiary of that extra $1.5 million that Stamkos left on the table. So yeah, that's probably what happened. Hedman probably would have stayed for $6.5 million. He probably, or he would have waited until next season when there's a little bit more money on the table because of the salary cap going up, and would have renegotiated then. But at that point, JBB has an extra $1.5 million on the table and say, you know what? Let's go ahead and give it to the guy who's going to be our next captain and is actually going to be loyal and actually going to retire here as a Bolt. Because you know what? He's still, even though the Norris Trophy cares more about points than they do about playing defense, he's still a top 3 pure defender in the NHL right now. Still. And you add McDonough on there with, I mean, he is obviously the cornerstone. So Stamkos can sit here and, again, go for the money. That's fine, man. That's fine. He had his prerogative to do that because he was a free agent, right? He took a deal for us once before. He did that. He came, he won 2 cups. You know what the problem is to me? It's not his team anymore. Now it's Kucherov and Point's team. Now it's Victor Hedman. It's almost eclipsed him. Well, no, but I'm as the captain, but not as like the future or the face, right? Kucherov is absolutely now the face of this team. Maybe Vasilevsky is more the face of the team than Stamkos even was last year. Yeah, Stamkos' banners on the building, but Stamkos never even made the splash. They talked more about Stamkos on ESPN during his homecoming game than they ever did the entirety of his career on every other broadcast put together of him on ESPN. He's finally made a splash by going to Nashville. People are actually finally talking about him. He never got that kind of recognition just playing here and being the captain here.
He's not getting recognition in Nashville. Please. They even came out today and said they're thinking about redoing the whole team.
He made a splash by doing it, though, is what I'm saying. I'm not necessarily saying he's now the face, but what it does is when you feel now your ego is bruised, you feel disrespected, and you're not going to get paid the exact same amount. I'm just saying that I'm just saying it's easier to make that decision to leave because you're no longer the national face of the team. I'm not, and look, we're all talking about somebody's inside brain that none of us actually know. No matter if he's your BFF and you know all the, he's still a guy that basically made this decision internally within himself and within his family. All right. So none of us, just like Marty St. Louis, we kind of know a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And we suppose, but it was a family decision that he made to ask for a trade and leave this franchise. It was a family decision that Stamkos made to not accept the offer that was given to him and to go and play in another market, which I think right now, as far as what it happens is moving, he made a splash initially. I'm not saying it has since then. And look, now it's unfortunate. And Scott, I'm replying to Scott. I'm just saying, Marty absolutely did ask for the trade. I don't
I
know.
was to say,
why-
I think
yeah,
he's talking about Marty there, not
yeah,
Stammer.
Marty asked for the trade. I don't, and that was absolutely verified. So,
All right,
but anyways,
let's
look, I'm not trying to get down. I was just asking about JVB, and then we got into this huge
This
Stamkos thing, and of course, it's been forever since we've talked to each other, even. So, of course, we have to do
So
the
the GM
Julian
suck shirt
Stamkos.
is something that Bring Hockey Back does. They made a one Stamkos shirt, and I said, how about having a My GM suck shirt? And so they made that come to life, and people ordered it.
Well,
at least one person ordered
at
it.
least one person.
Yeah.
And it got me on ESPN. So
Yeah. Well,
that was
anyways, hey, we'll see. Again, and all like this is the age-old thing, and we've talked about it. And I mean that package, you guys were there or whatever. I know that you were there, Thomas. That was like the one home game that I haven't made this season. So it was a Monday. But that package where they had all these players, they didn't make a splash. Are you kidding? Like they had Patrick Kane and like all these freaking like all the hot stars, McKinnon talking about Stamkos. Oh, I thought he was staying there. Like that's the most heat and most hype that Stamkos has gotten in any game that I've ever seen on a national broadcast.
Yeah, but they would do that for any old captain that's played 16 years at another team. I mean, think about when Kane went back to Chicago, they did that huge thing. It's anytime the huge superstar goes back to a team.
And I'm not saying no, and I'm not saying it wasn't expected. I'm just saying that of course they do, and of course they would. I'm just saying that to me, it's like I don't know. I'm not mad at him, right? I'm not mad. I'm not upset about it. I get it. I just think that it was a matter of a bunch of different things coming together at a time where he never imagined this situation would happen, and then this is the choice that he came to because of all of the different scenarios that just came together, like the timing of it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it was
salary cap. Like we could go back and I'm sorry. I'm talking.
I think it was just handled bad. Whether it was from, I thought that, if you read between lines, then I think Stamkos feels one way. We know what JBB said publicly, but maybe, he feels a different way. Maybe it was much harder for him. Did obviously some of the players not thought Stamkos was going to be back? You heard McDonough when he first signed with the team. He was the first one he called was Stamkos and said, "No, you have to stay."
Well, I think we all, obviously I wasn't around, but I think we all thought that was, oh, there it is, right?
Yep.
As soon as Big Mac came back, we were like, oh, okay, well, clearly something has happened in those talks that hasn't been shared, and yet no. And so, I mean, like I said, it remains to be seen. I agree. I don't know how you handle it, honestly, because I think that JBB was trying not to throw Stamkos under the bus as much as possible and just be like, hey, I can only do this. And we can go back to the flat cap seasons and talk about that and get mad at that, because that is probably the real culprit here when we talk about losing guys like Killorn and Stamkos. But then also it might be a blessing in disguise that we didn't overpay guys that were kind of aging and that weren't giving room for some of this new talent and, new blood to come up and learn how to play in the system.
But we did with Hedman. I mean, I'm sorry, I love Hedman, but 8 years, that much money, that's way too long, too much contract. You give him the same one he originally signed with. That's kind of, not worth it. But and a lot of people are comparing the Jake trade with Stamkos. They did not go hand in hand. They did not use Stamkos's money for Jake. That was the Sergachev money that went there. So, people are comparing the two. You also have on paper Nashville, who looked like they were going to be some kind of 2-loss team.
Paper Tigers
with Marchessault, Yossi, Stamkos, all that. And then you have Barry Trotz coming out today saying if they don't start getting the wins, they're going to start a rebuilding process. So, here's what everybody thought this Nashville team was going to be, not this Lightning team, who I think we all agreed are right within 1 or 2 games of where we thought they were going to be. And so, I mean, we move on, no Stamkos. I think it was a horrible move. There's a lot of people that thought it was. I thought it was disrespectful. There's a lot of people that are like, it's business. I get the business side of it. Not that kind of business where I'm running a fucking sports team and have so much money, but I deal with the business every day that I have to run and make business decisions. I just felt there's always other ways to do it. And I just felt there were some other ways, and there would, honestly, I thought if we wanted to keep him, there was a way to keep him. And then just reading between the lines with Stamkos's interviews, with his press release that he sent out, with his standing in front of the GM, my GM sucks shirt, that was very well planted, because Shooter's in that same picture with me right behind me. And Stamkos went around that rink 3 or 4 times, reading all the signs, reading everything that was there before he decided to go stand in that spot. And as someone who has followed Stamkos for quite a long time, that is not somewhere where he usually parks himself at.
Was that before or after you put your hand on the ice, on the glass?
To live long and prosper, like Spock and Kirk.
Stop talking about Stamkos. I thought we were done with the Steven Stamkos talk.
I'm sorry. Well, what do you expect? 200th episode.
All right, I want to know.
Can you tell me the Donald Trump of whatever the day after yesterday? So
we go with whatever's hot here.
Topical. Listen.
All right, I put the question at the bottom. What's your favorite episode or moment? Or we can throw a guest in there, and we've got some answers already from Scott. Scott won a Talk hat. I think everyone that's probably in the chat can say they won something. This freaking show.
Did they go claim it? Because
I hope so.
From Pucks and Pizza is talking about how when people won free pizzas and they never went and got them.
A second Chris is Thomas from the Bush, and then Chris from Pucks and Pizza. We had during one of the playoff runs was giving away some pizza pucks, and people won every single game. I think we went to the finals that year. And nobody came. Nobody wanted the pizza. And then to add insult to injury, Little Caesars goes and steals his freaking little pizza puck idea. Or was it Thomas Schooley, a corporate sabotage?
FYI, they've been in testing for 2 years. So, but we do have some new one coming out in February, but we don't know what they are yet.
So those are some good ones. We've had some great guests on the show. I want to hear from you guys. I think my favorite show was probably, I guess, Nigel coming on. The video coach for the Lightning came on, told some really good stories. All our guests are really good, right? But Nigel's got to be up there with one of the best right now. A lot of people liked when I had Ty guest host for me as a surprise.
And he tossed his laptop.
That was the closest me and Schooley have ever been on this show.
Yeah, we agreed so much on that one.
Only time ever. Mine's got to be the insane overtime playoff game when we did like a 4 a.m. show or some shit like that, and it was still like an hour long. Like that's, to me, that's like the whole we love you, Sonia. Those are the ones, like, that's, to me, that's like shows how crazy we were back in the day. Like we were just like, we're so dedicated, we're gonna stay up until the end of this crazy ass overtime because they need us.
Yeah, I stopped liking hockey during that overtime. I was like, I don't want to watch hockey anymore, and especially have to do our show at like 2 or 3 a.m. The only other time we did later than that, or maybe the same time, was the first time we won the Stanley Cup when Sonia popped on at like 3 a.m. Thomas Scully was nowhere to be found.
I was at IHOP.
It was already IHOPing. Already having
But
a short stack.
I think we were all in just disbelief that, hey, this actually just happened.
My favorite is, and I'm sitting here thinking it, it's going to make me emotional. Obviously, the show we did the day before my mom passed away. There's Mrs. Stash. So
where's my beer maiden?
Carly's in the comments. Where is she?
She's watching.
Yeah.
Tell her to take notes.
So yeah, I went through the death of my mom with you guys. So that was probably one of the biggest times on the show for me. And so she used to like watching this. I'd be out on the patio doing it or whatever, and she would be inside watching it. So that was probably one of the better times, of course. And then, we've just had so many guests on here. Dingman rings a bell. Remember we had Dingman while we were doing that bar crawl. In the middle of a bar crawl, we're sitting there trying to talk to Chris Dingman. Nigel was a great one. Sonia's always been great. Something we haven't mentioned yet, but both of them have been a guest on our podcast. WDA let go of Jay Retcher and Zach Blobner. The other on Monday.
iHeartRadio did, not WDA.
iHeart.
Evil Empire of iHeartRadio.
So they have both been guests, Jay multiple times, and really great. Like literally, I just talked with Zach before the game of Stamkos's return. And I was DMing with Jay that same day about Stamkos. And Jay had a one-on-one interview with Stamkos. So what? He's
bringing it back to Stamkos, not me.
Oh,
he always does.
They so seeing them being fired was really bad, but they've been great people on the show. Greg Wolf,
I'm still proud of us for basically scooping Dave Randorf. We had basically the first Tampa Bay interview with Dave Randorf.
Yep. Randorf we've had JP Peterson. Even Paul Porter today, that was
200. What a great get, you guys. By the way, like no thunder for me because a legend like him comes on. I'm like, well, no worries.
Yeah,
the show can only go down from here anyways. So let's bring on the stash after the legend himself, Paul Porter. like Timu Paul Porter.
It was funny because I ran into him at practice or what was it? Training camp. And I was like, hey, we do this podcast. Is there any way to get a hold of you to come on? And he's like, yeah, here's my email. And I sent it to Shooter. Shooter never reaches out to him. And Shooter's usually good on that, but he's been a little busy with his job. So like literally last week we're talking after the show and he's like, you sent me that email, didn't you? And I was like, yeah. And then I also tagged him on someone on Twitter that I was like, oh, this will be a good get for the show. And all of a sudden he says there's a guest book, and I automatically thought it was that guy off of Twitter. Never thought it was Paul Porter until tonight. And I see the promo from him saying, guest tonight, Paul Porter. And then I look at my messages and there's one from Shooter saying, I hope you have some good questions for Paul. And I just found out he was on the show. So no, I don't have any questions for him right now.
Don't worry. I saw exactly your reaction whenever you saw, like, anyone who wants to go back and watch the show again, you can tell with no words, no sound, the exact moment the schoolie sees Paul Porter in the green room.
Well, no, it was kind of funny because you guys can't see. We can see when people jump.
Yeah.
He looked like that. He
Dude,
was
I think I just went full mast.
because he was vertical, right? He didn't have his phone horizontal. The preview that it shows us looked like the camera was right there. And I was like, I guess we're bringing him on.
Yeah.
Luckily, once you brought him on, he was zoomed out a little bit. But when we first saw him, it was like we were seeing.
Yeah, it was hilarious. That's why I made the flip phone comment in the chat. It's like it looked like the flip phone reception for the Batcave is spotty at best.
The reception was not good, but luckily for a guy like Paul, we just need the voice, and he already had messaged me about calling in because he was having some problems.
When someone pops on there, I mean, you've done this, Stash, so you know. But for you guys that are just listening or just watching, we have the little boxes that you guys cannot see that shows us everybody's camera angles and everybody's camera stuff. So when someone is going to be our guest, they have a little box down there before we actually bring them in if they haven't been brought in yet. So here comes Paul popping up. And I usually always let Shooter do the introductions or whatever. And so I see it and I'm waiting to see if Shooter's going to like stop his sentence and bring on Paul or anything. And then he started saying something else. And I'm like, okay, does he see this? And I'm like, he's got to see it. And then finally he stopped and said it. And then while we were talking to him, all of a sudden, then I see Stash popping on, and I was like, okay, there's Stash in there. No, we haven't, Sonia. You can help us with that.
Is that an introduction?
Yeah, we could use a little intro for that, and then we'll love to have them on. And Scott's right. We've had Scott Nightingale. We've had Sarah. Sarah made this shirt. I asked for another one yesterday. She's like, when do you need it by? Tomorrow. No, I don't need it tomorrow, but I would like.
By the way, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that I did watch because I was going to wear my 100th anniversary or 100th episode shirt as well. And I saw you were already wearing yours. Said we always wear the same thing all the time anyway, Shooter. So I had to make sure that we weren't wearing the same hat and the same shirt.
I never got one.
Reunion episode.
I never got one.
And by the way, shout out to Chris. I saw in comments where he said his new favorite moment is the reunion show. You know.
And then Stephanie, Eric Errolson. Eric's been on here. I think Sonia's probably been on the most out of anybody. And I think
Sonia took over the number one spot.
And I think
Eric hasn't been on this year
too.
Yeah. And that's our fault. We haven't even talked to Eric this year. I haven't even seen him yet this season. So don't worry. Eric will be back for sure. We've got Andre Waugh next week. And that's the cool part about this show. That's how Thomas Schooley got on this show. Is the idea was like, hey, we know some people. We knew Greg. We knew we could get some of these people affiliated with the team. Seth Kushner at the time. We knew we could get them on. But
remember when we had Seth on, he thought his nut was gonna fall out.
Talk about favorite moments, man. Like that. Shooter, you need to go back and get that episode and like do a clips, like a best of like clips, and not some of that episode needs to be part of it because
Wolf was on that same episode actually.
Yeah, I know.
That was a good one.
That's damn. I forgot about that.
But Thomas Schooley was a guest. Episode 6. He was one of the first guests that was just kind of like a normal person.
Lingerers, man.
We like
Lingerers.
We've had Debbie and Joyce on from Sticks of Fire. We've had Andrew on from Sticks of Fire. If anyone wants to join the show, we had Willy Wonka on.
I'm back. So clearly the bar is like, even though Paul Porter like was preceded me, I was still on the show. So the bar clearly is still low. So like, if you want to be part of the show,
listen,
I'm not, I'm no longer.
We're not high low though yet. So
well, I mean,
we have a special guest joining us.
All of a sudden, he pops up.
It's an SNL skit moment.
He's like Beetlejuice. You say his name 3 times. We've said it twice already.
Say it
again.
Well, really, you have to say all 3 names because that's how you really say it. If you say his full given name once, he just appears.
Let's see if we can make that happen.
Yeah. No, I mean,
let's
that's
not.
definitely to say one thing. I mean, and I wanted to come on and like hang out with you guys because obviously I do miss it, but at the same time, it's been pretty cool that I've kind of moved on and done a couple other things, and I haven't really been pushing it so much and like putting it out there. But I've started producing a YouTube show called Trial by Fire, which is like a hot wings or a hot sauce, not hot wings, a hot sauce review show. We just finished our first season. We did 20 episodes. It's filmed locally in Safety Harbor at Screaming Jalapeno. It's all locally produced. It's very similar to this show where it's, try and keep the local community into it and feature as many Florida local sauces. But it's just something I'm glad, and I'm not on the camera. So if you don't like me on camera, you can still go watch the show because I'm behind the camera the whole time.
I love the show.
So yeah, because I'm not on it. Yeah, right. I'm not on it. So
wait, we can't hear you at all.
Yeah, part sometimes like and
I
the
was
parts
say,
I
I've
have,
watched a couple episodes, Stash. I ain't gonna lie, and I've heard you a couple times. So
I try to keep it real because like I like we couldn't get this tone to where like they're a little bit uncoachable. Like I kind of let the inmates run the asylum a little bit on that show, and so I just let the panel do what they want. And so sometimes I gotta tell them what to do, and it's more of a pain in the ass to go edit that out. And I feel like it just gives it like a more realism when sometimes I've got like, yo, eat your chip, bro. Stop talking, eat your chip, But and Shooter and I have been hanging out a little bit lately, and we've been talking about it. So I think probably do a little bit of crossover collaboration. I'll start probably sharing pretty soon some of that content here on the Shooter Stash channel, and that stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, it's been fun, and I've enjoyed that, and I've been doing some other stuff with production, and obviously not stopping watching Lightning because still at games. I'll be at the game tomorrow night, and yeah, it's been an interesting year and a half. But I gotta say, it's nice to come back. It's nice to see everybody in the chat and have the interaction with everybody. That's part of it that I do miss. I do miss the live streaming aspect of that for sure. I miss being able to interact with you guys, and because it's almost a little bit of group therapy, a little bit when we come here and we do this live with everybody, and that's a really fun aspect of this that I don't think I recognized whenever we were doing it, and we were in that grind for like 2.5 years or whatever it was that we did 120 some odd 130 episodes I was a part of.
Well, do you guys want to guess what the most listened to podcast? This isn't going to necessarily be views because this is from Spotify. Most listened to podcast that we've done.
I'm getting beers. Thomas to get snacks. Same old, same old. Not much has changed. Go ahead.
I got Uncrustables too. I had to go get them.
What do you play for the NFL? You play for the NFL now? Uncrustables? How many you go through? 60, 70 a week?
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead, Shooter.
No guesses on what that episode was?
The cup one.
Yeah, I mean, Carly said it in the chat. I don't know.
There's
the overtime game I talked about.
Nobody was awake for that. Oh, I guess they could listen. Stay. Yeah. It was actually when the Lightning lost to the Colorado Avalanche and did not win the Stanley Cup.
Oh, yes.
Well,
I remember that.
This was our favorite. This was our biggest episode, I believe, for episode 100 too, because this was still in that first 100, I think. But yeah, that was it. We lost to Colorado. The title of that episode was "The Lightning Lose?" ? The Stanley Cup to the Colorado Avalanche. That is sadly our number one episode on Spotify, which is our podcast.
Well, train wrecks, man. People love train wrecks, right?
What do you think the second most watched geographic location, and I'm talking about country, is for this show? The second
outside of the U.S.?
Yeah.
Japan.
Wrong.
No. England.
Military.
You guys are dumb.
Oh.
Canada. This is a hockey podcast. Yes.
I thought that's what Stash said. I thought he said Canada.
No, I said Japan because I was thinking about military, and I know we have specifically
fans
send us food from Japan.
Yes.
So that's about it.
Anyone want to take a stab at third?
I agree with Chris. By the way. Sonia Bryce and Kirksey's first episode.
No, this is country.
Oh, third country. Oh,
What was the question?
Mexico,
A country that's third in listener.
Finland,
Finland.
Sweden.
No, Germany.
Italy. Germany.
Oh,
Oh.
how many?
Germany is clocking in at a solid 2%. Yeah, it declines.
I'm gonna start saying Wiener Schnitzels more often in here.
Half of those listeners, I just realized that I could actually click into this. Half those listeners are in Hesse at Hesse, Germany. Of 53% of them are. So that's news to us. Can you guess?
Maybe we need to do a special travel episode where I join you guys for Oktoberfest next year.
We could get there for $900. It's a
Kick off the season in
9-hour,
Germany.
5-minute flight from Tampa.
What's that?
It's a 9-hour, 5-minute flight from Tampa for $896. We can go to Hesse, Germany.
That's not bad. That's
All
not
right.
bad.
Here's a good one.
But hey, listen, with the Trump bump, we're all about to have so much fucking money. We're not going to know what to do with it in the next 6 months immediately. Like tomorrow, I'm going to wake up and my bank account is going to be like way bigger, right? So let's just go.
If you had crypto, it did last night.
So Florida's number one for listeners.
Okay.
What state do you think?
Florida.
Florida's number one, obviously. What state's number two?
Colorado?
No, you would think that after we lost the Stanley Cup, but it's not Colorado. They are in the top 5, though.
New York?
New York is 3. Somehow, Virginia.
I was going to say Carolina or Virginia. I was going to say somewhere in the Central East Coast.
And then we are mostly male listeners. Although we do have a lot of women that watch this show and a lot of women hockey fans.
Well,
what percentage do you think are females that listen to the show?
32%.
43.
24.
Oh,
It's gone down.
And what do you think are main demographic?
Know the metric.
What do you think the main demographic? 18 to 22, 23 to 27, 28 to 34, 35 to 44, or 45 to 59?
The middle one.
28 to 34.
Yeah.
It's actually 23 to 27.
Wow.
The young kids.
People lying about their age.
Boomers.
Maybe.
They're,
Millennials, whatever we are.
Harley, Sonia.
Right. It's that 23% of the viewers.
Second is 45 to 59.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got in here. You want to take a stab at the second most watched episode?
Oh, I thought we did that.
No, we did. The most watched was the Lost.
It's not Nigel.
No.
I was saying Sonia Bryce and Kirksey. That's what I was saying. Sonia Bryce and Kirksey's first episode.
Nope. Most of our most watched episodes were playoff games.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So us beating Panthers, maybe?
Nope.
The Blue Jackets after we the
No.
second.
This would have been June 12th, 2022. We beat the New York
Rangers.
Islanders.
The
Islanders game. That's the one where because that's the episode, or that was the game where the guys were in the freaking bar. And thanks, Pete. Appreciate all your support over the years. You've been amazing. That's one where you shared the stream when we broke their hearts, right? Isn't that the game?
Yeah, where
we had like two goals and like a pull-out, and we had like the 2 goals in like a minute and a half. They were like they scored, and then within 3 minutes we scored 2 more goals or something, and like completely crushed them. Wasn't that the game?
I think so. That was it. That took them out, and that was at the time our 11th straight playoff series win. We got up to 14 in a row.
Yeah,
before we lost
Colorado. Damn Kadri. And
yes, sir.
And that damn injury to Braden Point, right?
Yep.
Too many men. I'll die on that hill. Just like Calgary, and they said it wasn't a goal. Well, that was too many minutes.
All right. Well, I wish I could get all of our stats in one spot. So we
Metrics
could
are all over the place.
better metrics. Yeah. I will let you guys guess, since I see it, which guest episode is the top ranked on Spotify.
Can I go back to the well one more time?
Sonia's first. Nigel.
Travis Stevens. Not.
It's not. It's
Michigan. No, not Michigan.
Eric Erlinson during the off-season 2022.
Oh, wow.
And then right behind him is September 19th, 2022, Greg Wolf and Renee Flowers, who Matt from Cold Coffee wanted us to come on, her to come on. And Renee's like a mod, like an Instagram model or something. And if anyone remembers that, she's a pretty young lady.
Knew nothing about hockey.
Brought her friend on. Her friend on, and neither one of them knew crap.
No, they thought 5-hole was a whole different other meeting.
Oh, hey, we already have that conversation. It's not a family show. Never claimed to be.
And yes, season predictions with Sonia Bryson from last year, October 6th, was up there as one of the top guest episodes too. So you're up there, Sonia. We don't do a great job of promoting these shows, but hey, listen, we got 2 shows coming up. We got guests coming out on, and you already know about it a week in advance, and the other one a month in advance. So there you go. All right, you guys want to do the weekly challenge and get out of here?
Yeah, one game.
We got one game. Carly said, "Hey, that first weekly challenge was too hard," and I'm like, "What are you talking about? You're guessing who's going to score. How can it be hard?" But I don't know. She didn't understand what we were trying to do here. But what we are trying to do is basically make some predictions for the next week of Lightning hockey. And if anyone gets them right, Thomas Schooley is going to pull up his Boltsmobile, and you can pick anything out of the back you want. It might be some Lightning giveaways from years ago. It might be Thomas Schooley's crusty underpants from last Friday night. I don't know what happened.
It might be that.
I don't wear any
contract offer.
So I'm going to put in the chat here a link to Google, and you guys can play along with us, and we will get you something if you do win. So let's go with. And these are all for tomorrow night's game. It's the only game we have till next episode. Who scores first for the Lightning? Stash, we'll let you go first since you're here. Hopefully somebody.
I'm going to go with Geeky.
Before you guys went on your rant, I was looking at Geeky's numbers last 2 games because he's been moved in the lineup to the third line center. He's only playing 10 minutes a night right now. Mm-hmm. Can't change your guess now, but I'm just saying, I wonder if that's not gonna help him right now, but maybe he needs a little bit less time and a little more time watching. I don't know. Schooley, who you got first goal tomorrow?
Cooch,
and I'm gonna go Stamkos. Just kidding. Just to get you guys going again. I'm gonna.
It was a stupid move by JBB. I'm telling you what.
Oh, brilliant move.
Stand on business, Pac-Man motherfucking Jones. Stand on business.
Hagel. I thought Hagel had a horrible game last night. Missed another empty net, but Hagel's
early season ways.
So he's so aggressive and just never stops, and he's so relentless that he's not going to continue to not be effective. But I thought the whole team looked off last night. They should have beat. All right, so that's who scores first. Total goals in this game, not just the Lightning. Total goals in the game.
Who are we playing again?
Philly.
7.
Six.
I'll go 8.
Ooh.
You Play along with us.
Oh,
Submit
prizes.
on that link, or you can go ahead and put it in the chat. Looks like Sarah did. She's going Hagel too. All right, last one here. How many points does Cooch get versus Philly? Thomas, you got at least one.
It's points, right?
Points for Cooch.
3.
3-point night. Stash.
It says 1.
1. I'll go right up the middle. Go with 2. All right. Let's see. I'm assuming Sonia's going 8 is the total goals. Sue's got 3 points for Cooch. Sonia's got 2. Sarah's got 6. I think that's total goals. Again, if you go fill out this form, we will keep track. Just make sure you put your name and your email in. And if you win, if you nail them all, Thomas Schooley will come nail you.
Just ask Scott.
He's bored now that the
All of a sudden you just got 20 sent into you. Gosh, people, calm down.
All right. So again, we'll continue to do that this season. You guys can play along, but usually this probably is going to be the easiest one because when you got like 3 or 4 games, that's a lot of guessing you got. Although it's never going to be easy to nail all these predictions, but we've done it before. We've done these games just with our own show here, and we've nailed some predictions before, so it's possible.
So, you know, when you get on 2 or 3 oohs from Sonia, it's been a good show. So just FYI again,
Better service.
tomorrow is Military Appreciation Night. So of course, everybody's favorite military person, Sonia, thank you for your service.
We'll be singing. Yes.
And you're saying your voice, your talent that you give all of us fans, you share with our fans.
Hey, I also want to throw my hat in the ring, not just for guest announcer, but also guest anthem singer. There's not enough male anthem singers in sports, and I think I have a really nice tenor voice, but I'm just saying. Go ahead.
Sonia, make it happen. How do we make this happen?
So thank you.
100%.
Thank you for all the service members. And then Monday, before we're back here next Wednesday, Monday is Veterans Day. So make sure you tell a veteran thank you on Monday. You should be doing it all the time, but it's definitely on Monday. And if you come to Little Caesars from 11 to 2, you get a free lunch combo. You don't even have to show ID that you were in the military. Just come in and say you're in the military. You get a free lunch combo. That's 4 pieces of the little deep dish and a 20-ounce drink.
Whoa. Are they paying for this spot here? Wait, in that case, if anyone has any AV needs, please message me at Shooty Shoots. If you need anything, we can do. You know those big video
we can produce any commercials or any kind of content whatsoever on location, whatever, full editing, everything. Stashworks Media.
All right, before we completely sell out, should we end this massacre of a 200th episode?
It's only apropos that it's a 2-hour episode, though, right?
Yeah, we've got 30 seconds. We have to go 2 hours and fill the whole thing.
I'm not going to do it.
I was pretty sure we're going to be at a tight 1 hour today, but I did invite you to the episodes. I should.
First and foremost, Paul was like 20 minutes late. Okay, so
yes, Schooley, don't jump. Come on, got 200 more episodes.
it's only 1 episode, man. I'm not back forever.
It's a miracle that we've all made it this far, and it will be a bigger miracle if we make it to 400 episodes or 300, actually. So,
250.
thank you for watching, for listening. I don't know how you do it. I can't even listen to this show, even like the little clips that we sometimes put out there. So God bless you for doing that. If you ever see us at a game, I think we'll all be there tomorrow. Is that accurate?
No, I will not be.
We're trying to figure out if Thomas is really even a Lightning fan at this point.
Right. Like, does he go to games? Does he send me seats?
He's got season tickets for the for the Nashville Predators.
For the Trojans.
I got to get rid of those tickets so I could go to Nashville on Black Friday.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. The Lightning need to win tomorrow night so they can have a good feeling going into these 5 days off. Get Braden Point back out there. We can't do much without him this season.
Are you telling anybody what we're doing next Thursday?
Do I know? Oh, do I? Is that next Thursday?
Why do I have to tell you every single?
So wait, breaking news announcement. Hold on. Let me get some sound effects. Make sure. No, we have real sound effects here. Okay, hold on. What is
Yeah,
this?
you're on top of that.
What is this? We got that one. Do we have breaking news?
Oh
No, that's not it.
He loudly eating cake.
The breaking news is we have been invited to the press box for the next, not tomorrow, but a couple of the games here for the rest of the season. So the best thing that you can do, I guess, is follow me at Shooty Shoots, follow at We the Thunder Pod, because you'll see some new footage in there because the Lightning have kindly invited us to come hang out with the press and media. You're getting media passes. So I don't know what that means, really. Maybe it means we get to rub shoulders with the great no, maybe it means we took the great Jay Retcher's seat. I messaged him earlier. He said no, that was not the case. He's there all season. But we'll be rubbing shoulders with some of the big dogs. I'm going to surprise Eric Erlinson. I'm going to get behind him and surprise him.
Maybe the Chief is up there.
Put him in a headlock. Yeah. So just wait till we announce, some of the guys that people in.
Dress accordingly. From my experience of whenever Haley took me up there, just remember, no hockey sweaters.
Mosquitoes aren't associated.
Don't wear shorts.
Aren't appropriate.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Shorts,
Yeah,
flip-flops,
actually,
and a hockey sweater, probably not the look to wear to get invited. I'm also probably sure that's why she got fired. I don't know.
Probably. You brought who up there? Yeah, this is the first time we did get passes once because we were on the Bally Sports. Also, why there's no Bally Sports anymore. We all took on the pregame show when Kaylee invited us all to hang out on that pregame show online for one episode. So
I'm such a mark. I have my press passes proudly displayed on this wall that you can't see off.
I
camera.
think you're the only one that actually went up to the press box afterwards.
I lie. You're not wrong. I did beat you guys by like a good 2 seasons.
I just found some. Well, no, we all up there. Yes, I just found some free food when I had mine and got out of there. It's I'm in it for the food.
Well, I've been in the radio booth 3 times. So
We all know what it takes to get in the booth.
yeah, hey, that's some Esposito stuff there. That's championship.
All right. Well, this has been fun. Episode 200 in the books. Until next time, this has been We the Thunder. Don't forget to be the Thunder. That's it.
Thanks, guys.